Don Bartlett. And when it comes to second, Canadian Dan Petrick is second to none. The Canadian third, Kevin Park, is first among thirds. And when it comes to skips here in Winnipeg, nobody does it better than Kevin Martin. Yes, when you add up all the numbers, they add up to number one. For the 1991 Canada Safeway World Curling Championships. And they're brought to you in part by Canada Safeway and its employees. Safeway, bringing the world together. Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to the Winnipeg Arena and TSN's continuing coverage of these 91 Canada Safeway World Curling Championships. Round 9 was completed this morning here at the arena. Let's show you the men's scores. And Germany, Andy Kapp wins again, 6-5 over Switzerland. A bit of a surprise, many people thinking. The United States, hey, Steve Brown, that's 2 in a row as they beat Sweden 8-5. Men's standings heading into round 10, Canada at 4-0, followed by Scotland and Norway at 3-1. Switzerland and Germany now both 3-2. Then it's Sweden, France, the United States, Denmark, and Finland at 0-4. Ray Turnbull alongside as Canada, the men's team, Kevin Martin, get ready to face France. And I think this is prime territory for a mental letdown after Martin won 2 very big games yesterday.
Well, you may be right, Vic. If you believe those numbers we just looked at, Kevin and the boys from Alberta should be able to just throw their brooms out there and beat France. But that isn't the way it works in this game, as you very well know. And I think you're right. I think the biggest concern is to make sure they get themselves motivated and get up for the game.
Now, also on the ice this morning, it was Julie Sutton and her Canadian rink, and she won her 5th in a row. She beat the former world champion, Andrea Schopp, and Julie is with Linda Moore.
Julie, another one down. You're now at 5-0. Is that where you thought you'd be at this point?
Well, we've played really well today in this game, and we finally brought our game up, played a nice wide-open game. We've been struggling a little bit so far, but today I think we played really good through the first 8 ends, and we're really happy to just, play a nice wide-open game.
Made it a little exciting at the end of the game against Germany. She had a draw for 3 and 9, actually missed it, but she was sitting the tying points in 10 when you went to throw your last rock.
Yeah, I wasn't really too worried about it. I just had to throw about the same weight as I did on my first one. Here I am sitting in the hack, and just, a basically routine shot. It was wide open, just had to make sure that I didn't turn it out too much. I let it go, and it looked pretty good, and they just kept it clean, and we just picked her out, and she got one, but, we'd already won the game.
Yeah, she actually could have sucked it in a little bit more. It looked a little straight in that spot.
Yeah, it was pretty straight in that spot, and she did throw it a bit wide, turned it out just a bit at the end, but, it was hard to get around there, and we were fortunate to have a wide open hit, for the win.
Well, you play Switzerland next, and they're actually coming on quite strong. Jana Hurleman putting together a couple of really good games. Any thoughts on that game?
I think we're just going to try to do what we did this morning, put the pressure on with, getting a few rocks in the house and playing it nice and, fairly wide open. And if we get the chance, we might, go around a few guards, but I think we'll just be quite defensive tonight.
Well, thanks very much and good luck.
Thank you.
Here are other scores in the 9th round this morning, and it was Switzerland, as Linda suggests, Janet Hurleman of Zug playing a little better now with an 8-2 win over Austria. Denmark beating the United States 9-4. The women's standings, well, they look like this. Canada all alone in first place, 5 straight wins. Then it's Norway, Sweden, and Scotland 3-1. Switzerland at 3-2. On down through Germany, Denmark, France, the United States, and Austria still looking for their first win. So when we come back, it will be round 10 of these World Curling Championships from the arena in Winnipeg. And ooh la la, it is France against Canada men's competition here at the 1991 Canada Safeway World Curling Championships. Games in the 10th round of these World Championships. France against Sweden. The French rink 1-3. Sweden, Annette Norberg of Harnosund is 3-1. And Scotland at 3-1 against Norway, 3-1. Big game for both Christine Allison of East Kilbride and Dorothy Nordby of Oslo. Men's games, Finland against Scotland. The Finns, Jussi Juuso-Paloniemi at 0-4. David Smith of Perth, 3-1. Norway and Denmark, 3-1 for Eigil Ramsdal of Oslo. Christian Thun Jacobsen of Denmark is 1-3. And of course, our featured game is Canada against France, as the Canadian rink looks for their 5th straight win, and it's on Shea. And the rink representing Canada from the Avonayre Curling Club in Edmonton. On the left is the skip, Kevin Martin. Kevin Park throws third stones. Dan Petrick is the second, and the lead is 30-year-old Don Bartlett. Representing France from Megève, the skip on the left is Dominique Dupont-Roc. Claude Fege is the third. Thierry Mercier is the second, and Patrick Philippe is the lead. Canada has won the coin toss. They will throw red stones. And so to begin things,
well, traditionally in the past, Vic, France has had some success against Canada. You look through the World Championship records, and if you look at all the numbers that we talked about at the opening of the show, really, Kevin shouldn't have any problems with this game, but it just doesn't work that way, and we'll have to see how
I can't believe this.
things turn out this afternoon. Now, we got a little more movement on the ice yesterday, and we'll see that I watched the practice closely, and it looks like it's running pretty straight. There's not quite as big a crowd in here. The building is a little cooler, so it seemed to have maybe straightened up a little bit through this draw, but...
I was talking to Julie Sutton, and she was saying the ice was very keen as well today, and that also will happen if the building is a little cooler. Yeah, rocks seem to glide down the ice.
Now, the French have done some juggling of their lineup, and this is Daniel Moratelli, who is throwing lead stones, the 29-year-old engineer.
I talked to the coach, Mike Mueller, before the game, and actually they weren't sure that Dominique Dupont-Roc would play. He has a real problem with his left knee. It actually started because he had a problem with his right knee. He had surgery only 2 weeks ago on his right knee. He started to compensate in making a slight delivery change, and it started to hurt his left knee, and that is now the one that is inflamed. He's had it wrapped. He's going to play, although there is the pain when he transfers the weight onto that leg in the delivery.
Now, down the center.
Okay, got it, Carl.
Down the center, down the center.
That's good. Wow.
First goes, looking good. Come on. Hey, Donnie. Try. Well, they threw up the guard on that as opposed to drawing to the open side and just exchanging stones. And it's something that's done quite often with your leads in seconds. You'll guard the stone a few times and then split the rings to try and get your deuce.
This is the first stone for the French second.
Canada with last rock.
Now, when you were playing internationally, Linda, did you have to guard against mental letdowns? I asked Ray about that. He doesn't think the Canadians will when they're playing France, but I just think it's possible after you come off the high of the 2 wins yesterday.
It's possible, and we're about midweek now, and this is the time when everybody's feeling a little tired, and you just have to watch it. I don't think they will today. I think they're feeling very confident, talking to them before the game, and their coach is able to come out in the 5th inning break and give them a little jab just in case they let down a little bit. So I think they'll play well, but it is something when you're playing teams that, in this case, have 3 losses out of their first 4 games. You have to play your best and not worry about what they do.
It's kind of a nice day for them, too, Lynn. It comes at the right time. You know, they have the game this afternoon, and then they're off this evening, and they have 2 big games tomorrow. So it's kind of a nice break. So they'll hang in, I think, concentration-wise. They've showed a lot of poise in all those areas through the briar and so far this week. So I'm becoming more and more impressed every time I watch them. Whoops.
Yeah, the shooter rolls over and covers that Canadian stone at the top of the 8.
What a great chance now for Kevin to get off to a good start because he split the rings this time.
Come on, you put the heat on. Much more, Jim?
It's really hard to tell about teams like Igel Ramsfeld from Norway because they come with a different philosophy, I think, than Canada. Igel goes out and throws some rocks in a game, and if it doesn't work, he says, well, okay, I lost one, but I'll still be there on Saturday, and I'll pick up the pace by then. The Canadian teams like to keep the consistent pace during the week and play as well as they can each game, so they feel really confident come Saturday. And so it's hard to gauge right now what's going to happen come semifinal time.
Well, that's right, Lynn. If you think back to Igel Ramsfeld's record, for example, at the Olympics that you were at, he was that way too. He didn't look that impressive throughout the week, but once he qualified, there he is right there. You know, he really caught fire, and that's what he does. He kind of peaks himself at the right time. In this very building back in 1978, when Igel was playing with Christian Thuram, during the round robin, they got beat by Mike Chernoff and Eddie Lukovic. I think it was 14-2 or something. And then in the semifinal, they came out and beat them. So it's, you know, it's a different philosophy, and he doesn't, for sure, he doesn't like to lose, but he never lets those kind of things bother him. I think that just lately he's had a hard time kind of getting himself, you know, up like he used to.
Claude Fege, the French third with his first stone, makes the takeout, can't hold the shooter. Canada continues to lie one, buried, top of the 8-foot. This will be the first stone for the Canadian third. This is Kevin Park.
Canada with last rock and a chance to get a deuce and get off to a great start. We've seen on numerous occasions how difficult they are to catch once they get away on you. Big game on the ice, Linda, just
You better take a look.
while we're watching the stone come down, is the big game out here today is Scotland against Doherty Norby. Both are coming off losses. Scotland last night lost to Switzerland, and Doherty Norby, of course, lost to Canada. So, and that's a big game for those two teams. Two strong teams.
Two very strong teams who maybe faltered a bit. Both Doherty Norby and Christine Allison maybe didn't play as well, especially in the second half of those games that they lost. So they would both, I'm sure, like to come out and play much better.
We'll try and keep our viewers up to date with all the games that are going on. Another beautiful day in Winnipeg, Vic.
Yeah. You didn't want, you know, you bring it up. I wasn't going to mention anything.
I know you.
I wasn't going to mention it, but it is blowing and snowing, and it is just wicked outside.
Ah, dear. It's great curling weather.
Yeah, well, listen, you know, in fact, it probably, if you were to ask the ice maker, he's probably thankful that it is colder outside, because it certainly helps him in keeping this building, which has averaged more than 10,500 in fans every draw. It helps keep the ice. It gets very warm in here.
This is a great opportunity that's generated itself here. Now, Kevin Park is playing the freeze down. You can sit on top of the stone and be shot rock, so we can have a stone covered by a long guard, which will be coming into view in a moment. You'll see just as the stone comes to the hog line, on this side, there's the long guard covering a stone sitting in the rings. And now they get a chance to freeze up to a rock that's behind the tee line and make it a little more difficult for France to remove it. So Kevin thinking, I've got two, maybe I can get three.
And an example, Ray, of maybe the way the game is developed for Canadians, the kind of thing you wouldn't see, from the Europeans necessarily.
Well, not from the teams that are don't play the game as much as Kevin Martin does, for example. But there are lots of teams in Europe that are well-schooled. David Smith, for example, would know how to handle all those kinds of things. Igor Ransfell, most of the Scandinavian countries.
Missed the first stone for the French skip. Dominique Dupont-Roc makes the hit, and he sits. And I think he's second shot. Another of the favorites.
No question.
As this World Championship began, David Smith and his rink from Perth, Scotland, playing Finland, and with a record of 3-1.
And David's another curler that really understands that you lose a game in a round robin, it really isn't a big deal. You just got to get yourself organized again and come back and do the job. All he wants to do is be there on Saturday for those semifinals, and my bet is he will be.
Good. Just clean. Just for weight. No line here. Got no line. You haven't got any line. Weight's a little bit. Oh, weight's heavy. All right.
Just didn't want to curl up.
No, it didn't come at all for him. The weight was fine. It just curled another 6 inches. We'll try and listen to them.
No line halfway down.
Fort pour que la rouge elle sorte.
Hein?
Un peu plus fort que l'autre, parce que là ça va taper là et ça va sortir.
The only difficulty here, it looks like France could probably hit the Canadian stone, maybe roll a little bit in front of the other French stone, and sit shot rock, and it might be hard to get those rocks out, and for Canada to pick up two. So this will be a very delicate shot.
27-year-old Dominique Dupont-Roc.
Turns the handle one way, back the other way, and there's the out turn. You need to hit almost the whole rock.
Just like that.
Well, I would have swept that more, gotten a little bit of an outside roll, then it would have been harder for Canada to remove the stones and get two.
Yeah, if he just rolls over about 4 inches, as you suggest, he still would have been shot. Couldn't roll much, though, Linda.
No, it was a delicate shot, as I said. They were playing with a few inches.
C'est au balai, là? C'est au balai?
It's a very straight spot on the
C'est
ice.
la première pierre qui a travaillé d'une façon bizarre.
A hit for two. Kevin Martin. Nice way to start.
Yep. Whoa. Whoa. Ah.
Just has to hit it there and stick and drive it straight through, and he does.
Close.
Have a look. Might measure this. It's wanted 8 foot at 1 o'clock. 2. It is, says Kevin Park, with agreement from the French, and so Kevin Martin opens with a deuce here in the 10th round of these World Curling Championships. We'll have more when we come back to Winnipeg in just a minute. With Last Rock coming in with a record of 3-1. This is a draw for 2. Wicks off his own, lands on the button. That's how you get 2. And Norway lead Denmark. And Christian Thune Jacobsen of Copenhagen 2-0. Other men's scores: Scotland with Last Rock open with 1 against Finland, Norway's 2, and Canada's juice. Women's play: France with Last Rock grabbed the early lead on Sweden, and Scotland, Norway in that big game between rinks at 3-1 blanked the first end. Scotland and Christine Ellison of East Kilbride do have Last Rock. Hey, I like the hat.
He's our kind of fan, isn't he?
would wager that we're going to see a few takeouts for the next few ends.
Yeah.
With that big 2 in the first end by Canada. I've talked a lot about the French team and the story of them being selected and being prepared for the Olympics next year, but it is quite a story. I was talking to their coach and I asked him how many curlers there were. There are 180 curlers in France in total. 150 of those are men and 30 are women. Of the 30 women, there was 4 teams in the French championship, so a lot of the people that play obviously do go in the competitive championship. So for them to be able to field a team of this quality is quite remarkable. The coach is quite enthused about the women's chances. He feels that as this week progresses, they will get better and better because they need the exposure of the competitive games to improve.
Having a good look at some of the others here at the Winnipeg Arena. Look at this, 99,300 plus after 9 rounds. Outstanding. Congratulations, Winnipeg.
This look on his face. All right.
We'll get a chance to see, actually, Dominique called for the corner guard, and that rock slipped into the rings, and you know, so he knows what he has to do, but he's got to get his team to execute, and they can't.
I'm trying to bring him back with my hand.
You ask for a corner guard, you got to get it.
Patrick Philippe.
One shot played to try and set up another.
Ah ouais. Ah ouais, on l'écarte un peu. Oh, stop, c'est bon, c'est bon, c'est bon, c'est bon, c'est bon. Hâte. Hâte.
He wanted that a little bit farther in front.
Come around there.
Oh, we saw this sign in Hamilton. Kevin Martin and his wife also run the Devon Daycare Center, and this is the good luck banner that everyone helped make.
Let's maybe throw Dominique off a little bit.
Mine's real nice.
Yeah, he wanted to play the corner guard. He actually wanted to play it farther in front, and even though the rock came that tight to the rings, Kevin Martin's going around it.
Going to keep the pressure on. It's part of the game too, Linda, is you know, not to get set into too many consistent patterns. You know, you have to be able to change things. And the key about this shot, of course, is you got to keep it in front of that tee line, and that's exactly what he did.
The French third is 32-year-old Claude Fish. He played in the 1987 World Curling Championships at BC Place in Vancouver.
Whoa. Allez, ouais. Allez, allez, fort. Allez, fort, fort, fort. Bien joué.
Well, here's today's trivia question for all of you. Linda, but not you, Ray. You've taken yourself out of this. How many nations can claim to have won at least one men's and one women's world title?
Okay, have some thought about that. We found out yesterday that 6 nations had won the title, both the men's and the women's side, 6 different nations. So maybe that's a bit of a clue we can think about.
I'm going to work on this one, too.
Oh.
So quite a bit more, guys. Lot of room. Get off. Get off.
Gotta go.
Don't touch it.
Gotta go.
Don't.
I'll be off air for the next 20 minutes while I'm working on
I was
this.
going to say,
I
heard the
too.
scratching, and I think, what is going on?
Right over, right over. All right. Good job.
France is looking for the hit on the center line rock and a roll in front of the other stone.
Wait! Whoa! Whoa! Wait! Whoa! Wait! I saw! Whoa!
Going to get them both. Little tap. Will it go? Yes, it will. Nice shot by the French third, Claude Page.
That's a good shot. I thought he was going for the roll, but it looked like from the angle they were playing the double all the way. About half a rock. Chip the other one. Problem with removing those stones completely from the rings, those Canadian stones, is France is going to have to generate offense. And to me, it's an advantage to leave those behind the tee line in case you need to draw later to those stones.
Skip stones here in this second end. The first from Kevin Martin. Canada leading France 2-0.
Okay.
Well, they're down to Skip's stones now, though, Linda, so, you know, they'll just want to try and get through this end and blanket and try and get something going next time when he has last rock. There's no point doing anything now. You're down to only 2 stones.
Which European team did we see earlier this week? Actually, not blanket. Was it France? Was it the French women that did...
I can't remember it.
Austrian
women.
Took
Didn't
it
want to take
point
the
on
blank.
purpose.
That's right, yeah.
He sits in the hack like that because it's the hack leg that was bothering him. He starts in the up position. We've seen that from a lot of curlers who thought at the Briar course, Randy Rodowich, that's what he was doing as well. But as Linda just mentioned, his other knee is now sore too. The sliding leg.
Decked out in the Swedish colors, appropriately enough, because his mother is Swedish skip Annette Norberg. And right now, Mom playing France in a women's game and leading 2-1 as they play the third. Kevin Martin.
Yep. Up. Right on the can here. A little hot.
Good opportunity for Kevin to find his draw weight this end. Looks about right to me.
Right on the Safeway. Looking for a blank.
Final stone of the French skip, Dominique Dupont-Roc.
Starts in the trunk lift position. Good flat swing, rocks well out in front. Linda was saying it's the leg, the knee that holds the body weight up, the sliding leg that's been bothering him now. Unfortunately, he hits and sticks.
And so France will take one here in the second end of play, and as we go to the third, Canada 2-1 over France here in the 10th round. Now let's go live to Sheet E and the game between Norway and Denmark. Norway, Egil Ramsfeld with last rock in the first end, scored 2, and Denmark, Christian Thun Jacobsen of Copenhagen, with a record of 1-3, will have last rock. Wants to get up real close to see this final stone for the Danish skip. Denmark throwing yellow stones. Question is, do you have to play here? Is who's shot there? Is it a draw, or is he have to play that stone? Looks like a draw, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks like he thinks Denmark thinks they're shot, Vic. So they're drawing. They think they're drawing for 2.
Be very hard to remove that Norwegian
Yeah.
stone, even if it was shot rock. So we may not be right, but looks like they think they have 1 for sure.
Christian Thune Jacobsen of Copenhagen looking to even his game with Norway after 2. Needs full 8. And he'll put it into the back of the 4, and you can see Igor Ramsfeld signaling to the umpire with the circling motion. I want to measure on those 2 stones in the 12-foot. The Danish skip. The Danish stone is the yellow stone at 3 o'clock, and the red stone belongs to Norway at 2 o'clock. The umpires found the measuring stick. I don't know why their measuring sticks always seem to be so far away.
They're always at the opposite end of the rink when you're playing at the club. And of course, on these rocks in the 12-foot, you sometimes have to move that little support piece out. Takes you a while to do that.
The Danes look like they trust the official, but Sjurlund, the Norwegian third, is right there to make sure he does it properly. As he suggests, this is a big game, I think, for Norway, Ray, because of the loss to Canada. They need to bounce back. It is a Denmark stone, and so Denmark will pick up 2 here in the second. And it is 2-2 after 2. Deuces wild in the game between Norway and Denmark. We'll have more from Winnipeg in just a minute.
Welcome to Rock'em Sock'em Hockey Part 2. You know, my old coach Punch Imlach used to say, hockey is a simple game. You put the puck in and you keep it out. Well, we've got a few guys that can put it in and a few guys that can keep it out. Let's go!
Don Cherry's back with Rock'em Sock'em 2, the most incredible hockey video ever released. Exciting, hard-hitting, action-packed, all-out hockey. Don Cherry hockey. Great goals, great hits, and much, much more. All in one incredible video cassette, available only from Quality Video. Own a piece of the action and a piece of hockey history. This is the way the game should be played, and occasionally, the way it should not be played.
Folks, if you liked Rock'em Sock'em 1, you're going to love Rock'em Sock'em 2. It's hockey the way I like it, full of fun, fire, and action. It's a beauty.
The heroes, the personalities, and the legends of this amazing game, all in one great video cassette. Rock'em Sock'em 2, only from Quality Video, in stores now.
TSN has your first taste of summer sunshine. The boys are back, and they're better than ever. TSN has action from the Grapefruit League. Pre-season play with the Jays and the Expos. Join TSN for your first look at the Expos as Montreal takes on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Sunday, 1:30 Eastern. Get your first taste of summer with Expos baseball on TSN.
Let's update the women's game between Scotland and Norway as they play the second end after blanking the first. This is the final stone. Christine Ellison of East Kilbride needs to draw full 8 foot for her single point and takes the lead over Dordi Nordby of Oslo. Both rinks 3-1. Now France and Sweden, women's competition. France with last rock got 1 in the first. This is the final stone for Annette Norberg of Harnesund. Is Swedish rink 3-1. France 1-3. This is the draw for 2. Quiet, tap back, wait. Onto that red stone at the back of the 8. There it is. 2 points for Sweden, and they take the lead going to 3. Our featured game, Canada against France in men's competition, right next to the crowd on sheet A here at the Winnipeg Arena. Nick Roeder along with Linda Moore and Ray Turnbull. Glad that you're with us for our TSN's continuing coverage of these 91 Canada Safeway World Curling Championships. And this is the Canadian second. This is Dan Petrick.
There's a French rock out in front of the rings, and actually Canada made a beautiful draw around the guard, and then the French team made a nice hit and roll away. Now Canada's trying to hit the rock back, get a bit of a roll. Won't roll quite far enough. Canada's not afraid to leave those rocks around and come into the rings with their draws. The French team are really going to have to execute well.
Well, that corner guard situation is perfect for Kevin Martin.
The French third, Claude Fage. We mentioned that he's appeared in one men's World Curling Championship. He's also appeared in 4 junior World Championships representing France.
They're better off to roll it away from that corner guard as far as they can. That's right.
The Canadians leading 2-1 and with last rock here in end number 3.
Try the out turn here. This turn is too hard to predict.
Well, Kevin Park is suggesting they play it with the other turn. They're talking at the other end. You can hear them. But Kevin Martin has got the broom down in a position for the in turn. And there it is, right there.
Yep. Ball. Speed. Ball. Close, yep. Whoa. I got it. Take it down. Take it, hurry.
Roll it over. Will it go far enough? Will it go far enough? Lovely shot. Maybe half open.
Good call by Kevin Martin at this end, and Crusher's in position.
It's hard to call. At least with the other turn, you know, when you get your piece, you just sweep it and hold it there. This one, you're...
Still like to play the other turn, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he just thinks that you can work it a little more with that other turn, and
now could he not...
it's a little more action coming off of it.
Could he not convince Kevin Martin that, hey, I want to play that, or is that Kevin Martin's...
I guess he could have insisted by getting up and coming down the ice and discussing it, but it wasn't that major a problem as far as he was concerned. They got the good roll, and now they set up the deuce.
Claude Fage with his second stone opens that guard and rolls it really to the other side, covering the edge of the 4.
Don't really want to go around in case he makes it.
Yeah, that's the tough part with the guard so close to your own stone. There's not a lot of separation between the rocks on either side of center. Kevin's afraid to come around the guard in case the other team gets the good hit and roll off the open stone.
So you throw up a guard on the shot rock with Kevin Park's last stone, and then he'll probably make a move to the ring some way with his first stone.
To the other side of the line.
Yeah. He's worried about this one running straight. It's got a lot of handle on it.
Hurry! Right up! Hurry! Right up! Hurry! Hurry! Good.
Boy, yeah, a lot of spin on his stone, isn't it?
Yeah, he puts a lot of handle on it. A lot of very pronounced turn. We'll count them next time he plays a draw.
These guys credits for doubles and everything else.
Might maybe make it somehow.
Yeah, but if I hang that and leave him the center guard.
Here's the delivery now. We'll take a look at it. Watch the release. It's a good solid grip. Uses the whole hand, then releases the fingers a little bit, and just as he releases it, rolls it off.
Ah, bien sûr.
Well, the French team could come through that hole and try and sit on the Canadian rock, but I think they're afraid if they try it and roll off the Canadian rock a little bit, they could give up a big end again. So they're going to run out and take off the guard.
Try and run it through, I think, Linda. That's what he suggested.
Hopefully get them both, and if not, at least remove the rock from in front of the rings.
This is the first stone for the French skip, Dominique Dupont-Roc, here in the third end with Canada leading 2-1.
He's made a couple of great shots.
You know what the intern does?
Kevin Martin's wife, Shauna.
Yep, had dinner with her the other night. It's tough to watch. Seems harder to watch than to play.
A lot of room. Yep. Hard for line. Quick. Hard for line. Hard. Heavy. Hard. Take it in. Right back. Right back. Right back. Hard. Oh, you're back here anyway. All right.
Well, they had to brush it for line, and had it got by that guard, Linda, it would have been well back behind the tee line. Well, a nice run through by Dominique got him out of a little trouble here, Vic. As long as he makes this hit. Hold the Canadians to a single, or force Kevin to play a peel to try and blank the end.
Now the roll across, and it'll bite the back of the forefoot. Wide open.
Those were two great shots he made this end.
Sure were. That wasn't that easy a shot way over there on the wing.
Right.
Those are always a little trickier. The run through was a great shot.
The final stone of this third end. Kevin Martin in Canada leading 2-1, looking to blank and maintain control of the last rock, heading to end number 4. Won't get it. He'll get the inside roll, sit at the back of the 4, and Canada will pick up 1 here in the third end of play. Kevin Martin leading 3-1 over France here in the 91 Canada Safeway World Curling Championship. France and Sweden as they play the third. Sweden leading 2-1. This is the final stone for the rink of Annick Mercier with Brigitte Lamy. Now skipping because Mercier isn't feeling well, makes the hit, doesn't get the roll out, will take 1, and so they're tied 2-2. Finland, Scotland, men's competition. Scotland leading 2-0. Final stone for the Finnish skip, Jussi Juuso-Pavliniemi. His shooter will roll too far. He had a chance if he could hold the shooter for 2. He'll get 1 at the back of the 8-foot. 2-1, David Smith leading. Norway and Scotland. Norway, Dordy Nordby scores 2 in the third to take the lead over the rink from East Kilbride, 2-1. And Norway, Denmark just finished the third end. On the board goes a deuce for Norway. Eigil Ramsfeld in the third. He'll now lead it 4-2 over the rink from Copenhagen. We're at the Winnipeg Arena for the 10th round of these 1991 Canada Safeway World Curling Championships. And France will have last rock in the fourth end, with Canada leading 3-1.
Well, just exchange of stones, Vic. Nothing really has been generated here. Dominique is going to have to try and get something going by throwing up some front stones. He's not having any luck, though. They're slipping into the rings.
Yep. Flight. Nothing wrong.
They want it nice and tight to the rings, nice and close. They got it there. If you're going to generate some offense, you can do one of two things, or three things. You can tap that back to here and keep it in play. You can play a corner guard and ignore it. Or you could freeze to the face of it. But just removing it isn't going to do you very much good. You're down 2.
Tu la joues plein centre, celle-là, presque, hein? Tu la joues presque plein centre, celle-là.
The great thing for Canada is they're placing those stones so beautifully. If they came a little deep, I think the French skip might look at drawing. This really scares off teams like France to have those rocks in front of the button area and the top of the 8 foot. That's a great shot by Canada. Dominique's not getting great support at this point. He's having a lot of hit and roll outs on his front end.
It was obviously a dangerous stone to leave there, Linda, but you really do have to start to do something. You just can't keep, as you say, earlier in the end with the lead stones, he tried to get something going, and rocks were slipping into the rings, and front end curves got to make those guards if you're going to have any chance at generating offense. If you're afraid to leave that one there, then the offensive play to make is to come down and tap it back behind the tee line. Maybe you'll get a jam in the end. You just can't keep removing these.
All right. Allez, fort! Allez, fort! Attends, là. Ça, c'est quand même vachement lourd, hein?
And the shooter, will it hold on to the back of the 12? No, it'll spin out. We'll be back with you later tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for 11th round coverage of women's competition. Canada, Julie Sutton, with 5 straight wins, go against Switzerland. Janet Hurleman, formerly of Toronto and Sarnia, Ontario, now the skip of the Swish. That's lovely.
Yeah.
The Swiss national women's champions.
Your family back at home in Switzerland was really wondering about that one.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, here we'll see what they're going to do, because the rock is very deep in the house. They still have 4 rocks to come, the French team. And yes, he will play the draw.
And so he should. The freeze. Barthage, out turn.
And the first stone for the French third here in this fourth end.
Lots of room, he says. Lots of weight, too. A little inexperience there. They should have been brushing that to hold it.
What is that? What is that?
Now, Kevin would like to roll away from there, I think. Get away from there. What? Otherwise, he sets up the pocket.
Well, that's right. You want to hit it on the nose or roll away?
Roll out? I think stay here. Maybe roll a little bit this way.
I don't know why I'd want to stay there, do you, Linda? Have to...
No, it leaves a lot of a pocket for France to draw to.
That's what Kevin Park was asking.
Go hard.
He got his wish. Just makes it easier to draw to now.
Nice pocket for him.
See, Kevin Park is questioning this. Well, no discussion about it. It's
Seems to me that Kevin Park is a little bit upset with what's happening so far. The two players aren't having any discussions when they come down the ice. That makes it hard because Skip's trying to call shots. If he doesn't agree, maybe he could go down and have a little talk about what he thought was best. You wouldn't think that was possible.
No, not at all.
well, it's going to work out pretty well for Kevin Martin, but against a good team, you won't get that. The really good teams that will come down and they'll sock one right on it. Let's take a look at this. It's hard to think that you can go through this hole, isn't it?
If it had curled a little more and ticked that one on the left, it probably would have frozen on the one on the right.
That's right.
But of course, it goes right through.
And out the back door.
Now Kevin Martin gets a chance to play a rock on the top of the 8-foot.
A lot.
Wow.
Got something under it.
All right.
So Canada lying 3, leading 3-1, playing the 4th. However, the French and Dominique Dupont-Roc do have last rock.
On va prendre comment un carreau ou on essaie de garder les deux là pour avoir un contre. On fait ça?
Huh? To generate offense, you could come down and freeze onto this one here, like so. Or you could come down, hit this here, touch it back, keep it in place someplace. Now all of a sudden there's a wall back here.
Faut pas tirer le reste, hein. Si la deuxième elle part, c'est pas grave.
But just to hit this, you know, the rocks are behind the tee line. They don't bother, they shouldn't be bothering you.
Plus Claude, putain.
Many times you really have to look at the house as a half a house, don't you? I mean, you don't look at all the circles, just look at the top part.
Well, Dick, all you want to do is make those 3 rocks there work for you. That's all you're trying to do in this game. Yes, you have to be able to draw. You can't draw to the 8-foot or the 4-foot. You can't skip.
We're looking for the double in the roll.
Yeah, but why do you want the double? I don't understand why you even want the double. I wouldn't.
Soyez prêts, les gars.
Great feel.
By trying to make the double is what you're kind of saying to yourself, well, I can't draw to the 8-foot or 4-foot or whatever it may be.
It's going to be tough for him, too, because if Kevin does hit and roll out on this, for example, or rolls to the side of the house, Dominique's played a lot of takeouts, and he's going to have to probably draw with his last one for the single point. So a little tap back might have helped get the feel for that draw weight.
I agree. Well, if he keeps the rock and play back there, now all of a sudden there's 3 stones you have to go by.
Kevin Martin with his final stone of this 4th end.
Whoa.
France with last rock.
Whoa.
God.
Draw and take your single.
Yeah, he might be looking at the double for the blank, but boy, if you hit it on the wrong side and roll out and give up 1, you're in big trouble.
Un peu plus.
That's the call. But you know, you make a good point, and when you say if he played the tap back with his first one, to get it out of there past 3 stones, Kevin was going to have to lose his shooter, okay? And if he doesn't, he maybe jams it back onto the back line. And if you get the right jam, then you maybe now all of a sudden you could have a hit for 2. Also, as you suggest, because he's played the little tap back with quiet weight, now when he has to draw to the 8 foot or the 4 foot, he's just played a draw.
I think he's taking this turn because there is backing back there. That's always dangerous, too. You start thinking about, well, I can be a little heavy and anything can go wrong.
The final stone, 4th end, and France drawing against 2 Canadian stones at the back of the 12.
Just be a draw of the 8 foot is all you need.
Snuggle up to that stone at the back of the 12. France scores 1 here at the 4th end. It's a 1-point game going to the 5th end. Canada leading France here at the World Curling Championships. In Norway as they play the 4th, and it's 2-1. Norway leading, and this is the final stone for Christine Ellison of East Kilbride. Drawing for 1 against a couple of Norwegian stones, and she'll put it into the back of the 4, back of the 8 for her 1, and so they're tied 2-2 going to 5. Men's game, Finland and Scotland, 2-1, Scotland leading, playing 4. Final stone, David Smith of Perth, hit, stick, 2, and he now leads it 4-1. Sometimes the wheels just fall off. Norway and Denmark as they play the 4th, 4-2 Norway, and this is the final stone for the Danish skip Christian Thun Jacobsen of Copenhagen. Hit and stick on a stone at the top of the 4, and it's 4-3 going to 5. And we go back to our game, Canada against France, leading 3-2, playing 5, and Kevin Martin will have last draw.
Well, while we were updating, it's really hard when there's calls like this made. The Canadian team had one come up short center line. France doesn't have last rock. It's down a point, and they hit the center line guard. And I'm afraid I just don't understand. He wanted to hit and stay in the same position with his stone, exchange the 2. What he did is hit and rolled over and left a corner guard. And if he wanted to protect against the center guard being Canadian, he could have thrown up another guard in front of that. But I don't understand.
Could his thought have been, okay, if I go behind it, and if I try to go behind that corner guard, or do I ignore the center guard, rather? What do? Do you try to go right behind it?
Well, sure, it's to your advantage.
Yeah. It's covering the 4 foot.
Yeah. You don't have last rock, the 4 foot's covered, go in behind it. As Linda says, if you don't want to go behind it, put up another one out in front of the center line. There's something going here. He's just confused.
Maybe that's why Claude has come down to talk to him, try and straighten things out.
It's a 3-2 game. You get something going in front. Next thing you know, you steal a point. You're back in the game.
Playing a little tap back on this one. Came much too deep. France was trying to play it short of the rings, and it came to the back 12 foot.
The Canadian second, Dan Petrick.
I don't know what happened to this one. was the last place they wanted to be, obviously, because now they give France a chance to either put up a guard or just come half around that red stone, start to build up some rocks in front of the rings.
Well, as Linda mentioned yesterday to our viewers, the French teams, men and women, have really been working hard at trying to improve their level of play. They are the host country for the Olympics next year, so both men and women will be participating in the Olympic Games as representing their country, and so they wanted to try to improve their level of play, and hopefully they learn from the experience here. There are some of the fundamentals they really still have to work on.
But as you pointed out a draw or two ago, it's one thing to see it here, but somebody right afterwards has to go and say, do you remember that fourth end or that fifth end? This is what you may have done.
Well, you have to sit down and really analyze the games. That's a mental mistake by the thrower, because he just cannot afford to be behind the tee line. Even if he comes short of the rings, it's okay. But he can't come down behind the tee line like this. Now he gives Kevin Martin absolutely what he wants. He's got a little corner guard going. He's playing the freeze.
Well, that's sweeping all about.
And now you just keep piling the stones in there. And Canada with Dan Petrick's shot lying one.
And on the left is Mike Mueller, the French coach. He lives in Switzerland, but he was chosen by the French Curling Association to do the team selection and the training for the Olympics. His wife is a good friend of mine, Erica, and apparently she's spending a lot of her time at the Hogline Inn. I haven't seen her once. She's got a lot of friends. She won the 1983 World Championships, which are held in Moose Jaw, I believe. She's got a lot of friends here in Canada that she wants to visit.
Float fish.
Good shot.
Yeah, picks it out. France flying two.
Just run the double.
Down normal on it?
Run the double.
Run the double. Hit and roll. Nope. Run the double. Gets the double. He'll be behind the guard, I think, a little bit.
Kevin Park.
Boy, is that running straight.
Gets them both. Loses the shooter.
Kevin Park and Kevin Martin haven't agreed on what they're doing out there today.
No, think back to that in-turn, out-turn business. That was about the first or second in.
Well, I'm not going to throw down.
If this had come up a little more, his shooter would have stayed in the rings, which I think they would have preferred, of course, but he gets enough of the one yellow stone, catches the edge, and rolls out.
Take a look at it again. I think the hit and roll maybe have been a little better play on it, Linda. Hit that and roll over in front of that one. But the double, there it is. Gives Dominique a chance to go around. Just seems to be a little bit of misunderstanding between the two. I don't know if it's friction or not. It's one of those days where I'm not seeing eye to eye with you. Skipper.
Well, it's a long week, and it's tough after a season of playing together so much and so much pressure. These little things can happen. It's important to get it back together, and I'm sure they will.
Goes to the hack, huh?
We have some days like that, don't we, Vic? Over the years, there's always a day or two when we find that,
Never.
you know, we kind of get on each other's nerves just a little.
Well, you have to stay mentally sharp up here as well. All that pressure sitting between you two professionals.
Oh, yeah. You're a doll, Lou.
Yeah.
Hurry!
Ball the other way.
Hurry! Hurry!
Throw it down.
Right over.
I think this is commonly referred as hitting the wall.
I think so.
Yeah, we're at the
We've hit the wall.
midway point.
Yeah. As these two teams continue to exchange stones now. Canada line one. Top of the 4 foot. Inside roll. Lovely, and it'll sit full 12, fully buried.
Well, there's the call.
Well, I'm impressed with Dominique, especially knowing that he's in a little bit of pain with his leg. I think he's playing very well, maybe calling some shots we don't agree with, but once he puts the broom down, he goes down and he makes them.
Yeah, he's executed pretty well. He's played some pretty funny shots, though, Linda. Especially when he hit that front stone. I really...
Yeah, it was one of those... I was in Kelowna when Marilyn Dart won her World Curling Championship in 1986. She played tremendously well. She had one bad game against France, and I'll never forget it, because France, if they'd thrown away their last shot, I think would have either guaranteed an extra end or have won. They played to come around a Canadian stone tight to the rings, and they raised Canada in for the win. And it's just some shots like that. Some days you just have to shake your head and say, well, I guess they'll learn from that.
Right up. Right up, right up, right up.
He's wrecked a couple of times now, trying to make the draws. He had that one earlier that ended up at the edge of the 12, and this one time he couldn't make the draw here.
This brings up an interesting situation. You are shot rock. You could make a play and go behind that if you to lie 2. I mean, you could hit it for sure in lie 2 that way, but you could play the...
We did wreck there 3 times.
Well, the nice thing about hitting it, if he does decide, is at least he's blocking off the house. If he was hitting a back rock, it wouldn't do anything for him. But if he hits and stays on this one, Canada will have to try and make a good draw for their point.
The percentage is probably to hit it, Linda. I mean, you could, if you really felt you wanted to really take a chance, you could try and go around it as well. Really put the pressure on Canada. They don't know the out-turn come around very well, so that would be the way you'd have to play, because you wouldn't want to play the in-turn, otherwise you might set up the possibility of a double, so you'd play the other side. You hit it on the nose, and you could force Kevin Martin to play a draw, pull to the 8 foot.
Whoa! 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 Whoa!
That's not what you wanted, though.
So Canada and Kevin Martin with his last stone will draw for his single point here in the 5th end, and he needs full, really just a piece of the 8 foot.
With the shot rock so buried there, I might have been tempted to be honest with you, I would be tempted to make a play and really put the pressure on.
Final stone. Canada leading 3-2 over France, fifth end. Stops in the back of the 8th, and Canada will pick up one. Fifth end break, fifth. And it is 4-2. Canada leading France. The 1991 Canada Safeway World Curling Championships, and we're at the Winnipeg Arena. And a reminder to stay with us right after the game for the TSN Turning Point, brought to you by National Trust. Women's game between France and Sweden. It's a 2-2 tie. Final stone for Annette Norberg of Harnosand with a record of 3-1. Lies one. Edge of the 8-foot at 9 o'clock. Will hang on to the back of the 8-foot for 2 and leads it now by a score of 4-2 over Annick Mercier of Megève. Women's game, Scotland and Norway, both these rinks 3-1. It's 2-2 as they play 5. Final stone for Dordi Nordby of Oslo. Drawing against 1-2. Scottish Stones will grab a piece of the 4 for her 1 to take a 3-2 lead as they went to the fifth end break. Men's play now, Finland and Scotland 4-1. For the Scots, this is the final stone for the Finnish skip, Jussi Juuso-Pavliniemi of Havenka. Still looking for their first win. They've lost 4 in a row, and they'll slide too far. It'll be a steal of 1, Scotland leading 5-1. The Canadian rink.
More important, you know, like if a guy's got to make a shot, like sometimes make a mistake. There's some candies around here.
You wouldn't go through that.
One of these.
They were going
Found one, bites the dry mouth.
That's right.
17 seconds.
Canada leading 4-2 as they go to end number 6, Ray.
They seem a little flat, Linda, I think.
We're respecting him too much.
Well, there's an interesting point. Kevin Park saying, hey, we're respecting these people too much. Is there a way that maybe we should just turn it up a little bit? Why show them the respect?
Well, there's no question that Kevin Park has wanted to be a little more aggressive than Kevin Martin has been in this game, and they're just, it's midweek. We go through that, Vic. We just talked about that. We had those midweek blues, you know. Right. And you said it best of all in the opening when you said their biggest problem for this game may be, getting themselves motivated and together. You looked at those numbers when we showed you the stats, when we opened the show up. Our viewers saw a big difference in percentages. You really think, well, let's go out there and just go through our paces. But it happens to every team one time or another. It's happened to you, Linda, I'm sure, where you somehow can't get yourself together.
No, and if you get yourself up for every game of the week, you're going to find that you're really worn out mentally by the end of the week. It's really hard every game to get yourself pumped, and they seem intense enough out there. They seem focused on the shots, but maybe a few problems with communication and maybe a little bit of irritation at this point of the week, and those things show up.
See, this particular play by France is a nothing move. I mean, the lead is in the top of the 4 foot. It's in the top of the 4 foot. Yes, but you just ignore it, and you either ignore the stone and throw up the corner, come down, tap it back like we've talked about, keeping it in play, or freeze to the face of it, one or the other. Now, freezing to it, as Linda mentioned, sometimes makes people very nervous because the stone is in front of the tee line. So if you don't like that play, then tap it back, but keep it in play. If you don't like to freeze to it, you don't want to tap it back, then play the corner guard. Ignore it.
Which makes me ask, why aren't they doing this? So they don't know any better?
Well, they've been working with the coach, and And maybe they haven't played this kind of team that executes so well. And sometimes in Europe, the teams expect the miss, and they'll just play along like this, wait for their miss to get back there too. But when you're at this level, you can't wait. As Ray says, you've got to force the play.
And against this team, you have to force the play because they're just going to run you up and down the ice if they want. And Kevin Martin, even if maybe they're a little flat today, they're not going to miss a great number of takeouts. So you've got to really, you have to give it a try.
Listen,
I'm not criticizing them. I'm just telling you, they don't understand that little edge of the game right now.
And if they are flat, and if the Canadian team is flat, this is a good opportunity for the French to use that. So
Exactly.
you're right. I mean, let's. Well, they are that. Terrific shooters, this Martin Rink and the Canadians.
Pretty clever little sign, wasn't it?
To use all those letters.
TSN.
Dan Petrick.
Guys, easy, that's hot. Keep it in front of the tee line.
Keep it in front of the tee line. Dan knows.
He thought he was a little heavy when he let it go. Well, maybe a foot. Not terribly
That's
heavy.
pretty good to me. Hey, what do I see here? Hey, what's that called? What's that called, Vic?
Was he listening to you? Looks like he's playing the freeze, or better still, in another thing, and maybe he's tapping it back. Eh?
He called for the freeze, which is fine. Yeah, it's a play. He's got to try something.
C'est serré, hein? Ah ouais? Wow, wow, wow! Ah ouais! Wow! Wow! Ah ouais, ouais, ouais! Ah ouais!
You want that rock to stay in.
And it does. Canadian stone, raised stone, will stay at the back of the 12.
That's fine. All those rocks back in there in the back 12-foot area of the rinks, all they can do is help you. Now, at this point, Kevin Martin has to pass this stone by one rock. Maybe we can get two in there, and it'll make it more difficult. That was pretty.
All right.
Now, what you want to do now is tap this one back into the same area. Now what you want to do is come down with this, hit this here, and tap it back as he's indicating, just like he's going to do into there, leaving your shooter there. And now the rock that was the shooter has to be removed past both of those stones. Did you see that Zorro sign?
It's interesting that he didn't play that with his leads rock, but now he doesn't seem afraid at all. And I thought maybe in the fifth end break they would have a little talk about generating offense in the second half with their coach. And now it looks like that's the kind of strategy he's going to employ. And these are good shots. He's
They're
tapping them
shots. He wants to
back
leave it in
12.
play, though. Yeah, absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. Now you got to That's right. Well, now you got to hit them by two stones. If they get them by, you move the next one back there. What you're looking for is the jam. You get the jam once, you draw to the other side, you lie two. That's how you score 2 points.
This will be the first stone for the Canadian third, Kevin Park, here in the sixth end. Canada leading 4-2 over France.
You see Kevin looking at those stones now. He knows that he has to run them by him.
And if Canada hits and rolls out, you're now drawing to the back of the house, but now your rock will be shot rock sitting on the face of those Canadian stones. So that's a good situation as well.
Okay.
What he's actually trying to do with those is take out his own rock as the Yellowstone is coming by. He doesn't want to jam it directly on, but he would like a little chip as it's passing those back stones, clear the house up a little bit.
I like the call. I do. Atta boy.
I think he's playing a takeout, actually.
Claude Fage.
He is. He indicated first that he may just move it back again, but I guess he feels it's over so far that he'll hit and try and roll to the center. If you just had touched that one back to the 12-foot, you would be really getting something going there. Is that any good?
Well, he was the number 1/3 coming into this 10th round and continues to be the best.
No. Stay close. No, don't touch it.
Now, as Linda suggests, at least you can draw down to the face of one of those two stones. Whatever side you feel most comfortable with, where you know the ice the best, where your thrower may know the weight the best. There's the call. In-turn freeze. That's it.
It's curious, though, as you suggest, where were these calls earlier? Yeah. It's like suddenly a light went on, you know, boy.
I think that the people that don't do a lot of curling, you know, should remember that what you do is try and set up shots with your leads and seconds.
And maybe Mike Mueller did have a little chat in the 5th end.
There he is.
Suddenly in this 6th end, they seem to be playing these nice, quiet shots.
This the second stone for the French third, Claude Fage.
And we should make it clear that these shots aren't easy. We're not suggesting that suddenly they're going to make them so perfectly that they're going to get their 2 points, but unless they make the attempt, they're not going to get an opportunity for more than one each end. The skip has to do the sweeping behind the tee line. That's why he jumped up there.
Almost perfect. You know, it just curled a little bit too much, Linda. Otherwise, it would have been an excellent freeze. That was a good shot by Claude.
Kevin Martin and the first stone for the Canadian skip.
Whoa. All right.
That's perfect. He got rid of another stone.
Power. I think it's probably in.
Not much to separate the skips when it comes to their percentages.
Anything on the line is...
Trying to decide if that stone at the... Those two stones at the back are out of play.
Well, Kevin Martin wants it in. Wants it out, and Dominique probably wants it in so he could play down to it.
Now, this is the only position in the house where you can actually measure a stone during an end. You don't have to wait for the completion of the end to see if this one is touching the circles. They bring out the 6-foot measure because it's exactly on the center line and the back line. That's the only place where you can measure a rock during an end. And you don't see it very often.
I don't think I've ever seen it
No,
in
you don't
our
see
6
it very
years.
often.
I wonder why they don't have those measuring sticks at each end, Linda.
Well, sometimes they want to have some consistency for everybody, and I guess sticks can be a little bit different. I don't really know the answers.
No, I know you
Sometimes they do choose one stick to be used on every case. It's touching, that means it's in.
In? That doesn't matter.
In play and in the rings because of the position of the house.
You're not allowed to measure during the game.
That's the spot you can measure, right there.
think somebody from the stands was asking them the question. They're very close to the stands, sitting, being on sheet A.
Now, will he try to play up to that one as well?
Yeah,
Use it?
Yeah, that's why. Actually, Dominique wanted it in, and Kevin would have liked it out, even though it's a Canadian stone. Can now be used.
Here's his patented double clutch out turn.
That's dangerous, boy. It's okay if you've got lots of time, you know, in your delivery, but you have to start releasing a little earlier because it's a little heavier. Really dangerous.
Whoa. Allez, viens, toi.
The third has to jump out now and sweep. It's the only thing about that rule at international level where the acting skip is the only one that can sweep behind the tee line. It causes that moment of confusion where the front end have to stop sweeping and the other person has to run up after watching the line and get in there with their brush.
And you can lose. You can lose a couple. Well, you do lose a couple of beats, and it can cost you. I agree. I think that the rule should be, as the Canadian rule is, the sweepers continue on.
Kevin Martin and his final stone. France with Last Rock playing 6 and trailing 4-2.
All right.
Now they can play the hit on it, blank the end.
Still not much being said between the two Kevins. Martin on the left, Park on the right.
Ouais, mais il change de plus dans les pieds à chaque fois.
The final stone of the 6th end in France, looking for the blank.
And he doesn't have to push this one far. He just has to catch a little corner on it. Look at it float off center line.
Needs something. And he gets just a little bit of that something. Dominique Dupont-Roc played that end a little better. Still trails by 2. France and Sweden women's competition. And this the final stone for Brigitte Lamy. Skipping the Annick Mercier rink of Megève. Catches the corner and will score 1. And so it's 4-3 Sweden. Annette Norberg of Harnosand leading. Scotland, Norway, women's competition. 6th end of play, both these rinks 3-1. Final stone for Christine Ellison of East Kilbride. Norwegian stones, top 8-foot, lying 2, and the Scottish skip draws the 4-foot for 1. They're tied 3-3 going to 7. Finland, Scotland, men's play. And it has been all Scotland. Another big miss for the Finns. Still looking for their first win. They will give up a steal of 2 after a steal of 1 in 5. And it is all over there as Scotland wins it 7-1. David Smith of Perth now 4-1. The Finns are 0-5. Norway, Denmark, men's competition. Final stone for Eigil Ramsfeld. Makes the takeout, rolls over, bumps that stone out, shooter goes, still scores 4, and it's 8-3, Norway leading Denmark. And now we go to the final stone between Sweden and France. Women's competition as they play the 7th. This is Annette Norberg of Harnosand.
leading 4-3. With a record of 3-1, the French rank 1-3, and this is a draw, an open draw for 3. And Sweden now very much in control, leading 7-3 as they go to the 8th. And boy, oh boy, you will not miss a thing here in the 10th round of these 91 Canada Safeway World Curling Championships on TSN.
Nice job by the guys downstairs. Got it all. Well, Dominique has really turned it around. He's absolutely playing exactly what he should now. There's a rock at the top of the 4-foot, a Canadian stone that was put there by Kevin Martin, and Don Bartlett put it right on the top of the 4-foot, and twice now Dominique has tried to freeze to it. There it is right there, and that's what he should be doing. He could even ignore it and play the corner if he wanted, but this is an alternate, and it's a good alternate. He's trying to freeze to the face of it, and set up a jam, and in doing so, he maybe pick up an extra point and tie this game up.
And the first two freezes haven't worked, but that means that with each shot, he can move the broom a little bit, and they can adjust the weight a little bit, and one of these might be just perfect.
Excellent. Excellent calls. This is what he wasn't doing earlier in the game. Whoa.
Well, this is how you see it when you're way up in the balcony here at Winnipeg Arena. My goodness. Might want to carry the binoculars with you up there. Dan Petrick, the Canadian second, as we play the 7th end, and Canada leading France 4-2.
Easy. Off. Yeah. Follow. Okay.
Now your choice is to play the hit and roll in front of that one. That's it, just like that. Get the rock away the top of the 4-foot. When the rocks start to get around the 4-foot, you have to be a little careful, Linda. You just can't be, you can't let it get clogged up on you. So this is a good call. Nothing wrong with this at all.
Yeah, there's still the other Canadian stone providing some potential backing on the side.
They throw. You made the point the other night, and I think it was a very good one, worth repeating, is that the top teams. The top teams play what they refer to, or many refer to as control weight, where the less experienced teams seem to have either the quiet weight, or they have the big weight. And here's a case of just not enough, too much weight. You can't do anything with this stone.
It's one thing if you're playing an open hit on one rock in the rings, but when you need to play a roll, that's when that controlled weight and the sweeping come into play.
Okay.
The first stone for the Canadian third, Kevin Park.
Well, you can play the hit and roll one more time, but you're going to have trouble being shot. That's the problem now. You can play the backward and try and roll behind, but that rock is pretty close to the top of the 4-foot, so. You get an exchange here, a couple more exchanges, then what you'll do is play the back one and try and roll behind the front one.
The French third, Claude Fege.
Looking for the roll.
Bien joué.
No such luck.
Now, which one is that again?
That's winsome. I'm deciding on those because I'm not in the trivia anymore.
Okay.
I thought you were fluent in bunny or something like that. You knew that. Being a moose.
I'm in this trivia, by the way. I want you to know I'm in this trivia.
You figured this one out?
It's taken about 30 minutes to figure this out. I'm not showing you, Linda.
I haven't figured it out yet. This could be your day, Ray.
Now you can play the back one if you wanted and try to get the roll behind the front one. Atta boy.
It's all over on sheet E, Norway and Denmark. The Norwegians winning it to improve their record to 4-1. Denmark now 1-4, and
This is a real
confidence builder for Eigil Ramsfeld, who dropped his last game to Canada. Rebounds with the win over Denmark.
3 more ends.
You guys are talking about keeping themselves alive.
Yeah.
It's a real yawner, they're saying, you know. But
and actually, the score is close. That's what you have to be careful with. This team is hanging in there against you. You can't let yourself fall asleep or lose your concentration or anything. This is a lot of weight to play for this shot.
That's too much weight for those kind of shots. Now you're in trouble.
In the 9th round of these World Championships, the Canadian women's rink of Julie Sutton of Victoria played Germany, and the former world champion Andrea Schopp of Garmisch. And the Canadian rink rolled to their 5th straight win and sit atop the standings at 5-0 after the 5-4 win. And in our next round coverage coming your way at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, we will have Julie Sutton as she goes against Switzerland and Janet Hurleman.
Well, Dominique, really played the end well. He called the right kinds of shots, and then we just finished talking about the kind of weight they throw at those things. And you can't get the rolls. You can't work the stones if you're going to throw that big weight all the time. And that was a case of just throwing far too much weight for that style of shot. Now, if Kevin Martin makes a good shot here, he's playing to come around the center line rock. He could really put the French team in trouble. This is the chance you take, Linda, when you play offense.
All right.
He gets a little break, Dominic gets a break here because that rock is behind the tee line.
No, he can still get his 2. He has 2 rocks remaining.
If Kevin gets this stone right about here, instead of where it is there, he's, France is really in trouble, but now France can come down and sit right on top of it.
To me, like he's got too much ice, however.
Doesn't Denmark there, anyway. We didn't get by a lot, did we?
Very little. We just had corners of blue for your ice, so
I wasn't outside.
Well, they're talking a little bit more, and Kevin Park thinks that Dominique Dupont-Roc may be taking a little bit too much ice for this shot.
He has good balance, Linda. What a lovely shot.
Oh, was it ever?
I guess it was the right ice. It worked out pretty well for him. But the Canadian stones often run a little bit straighter. We've mentioned this before, that positive release will make them go a little bit straighter. The sweepers sure had to work hard on it to get it by that front Canadian rock.
Allez, allez. Got a little roll over, too. Good shot. Kevin can see a corner of it.
You can see the bristles are splayed out on those brooms.
Daniel Moratelli and Patrick Philippe. the front end of this French rink from Megève. The final stone for Canada and Kevin Martin. The French do have last rock.
Floating away.
That's how you score 2 points. Now with a draw here to the 8-foot, full 8-foot, almost to the 4-foot, you can tie this game up. Wouldn't you be tempted to play the same draw, Linda? Same side, same everything?
I think so. He's looking, because if he came to the back Canadian stone, he would certainly have his 2, but you're really just playing the draw to the 4-foot. Taking even more ice to try and ensure that he doesn't touch that front rock.
Well, which is wise. Take another 4 or 5 inches. You've got the edge. All you have to do is bite the corner of the 4-foot. This is a big shot in this game for this young French skip.
Well, they're thinking about that other shot. Front end maybe said something to the skip.
Dominique Dupont-Roc wants to talk again with Claude Feige.
He just played this shot. He just played it right down there. I would forget about that back stone and play
Pick and roll. P-line over there. And
a little bit of hit.
No, he's going to stick with it.
Tu vois, s'il n'y avait pas la garde, j'aurais été moins au centre, un peu plus.
A little bit more. But this is the shot. There's just no question. You take a little extra ice because it was close to the guard, as Linda said, and
Parce que l'autre, c'est un coup bâtard.
Just play the draw.
The final stone of this 7th end, and the chance for France to score 2 and even this game at 4 apiece.
It's got lots of weight.
Yeah, the third has to be careful not to call for weight. The line is good. Beautiful shot.
Yes.
Oh, T-line, perfect, fights the 4 for 2. Dominique Dupont-Roc has brought France back. We're all tied. It's 4-4.
Honey, I know we're on a low cholesterol kick, but if I eat much more salad, I'll turn into a rabbit.
Well, how about a McCain pizza? It's okay. It's a McCain Tender Crisp. And it's low cholesterol.
Low cholesterol pizza?
It says so right on the box.
Low cholesterol pizza. Great idea.
Great pizza, too.
McCain Tender Crisp in individual and family sizes. Low cholesterol, too.
Because man cannot live by salad alone.
The thrills and excitement of NBA basketball are on TSN. Tension from division rivals and top teams on television's best basketball schedule keep you at the hoop. TSN takes you courtside for action only the NBA provides. It's a Western showdown in San Antonio. The Nuggets have nothing to lose, so they'll be going all out to cut down the
Upland and Norway. Both these rinks at 3-1. This is the final stone for Dordy Nordby of Oslo. And look at this, all yellow all around the house. The draw for 4 for Norway. In the 7th end of play, it'll hang on at the back of the 12, and Norway in control now, leading Christine Allison of East Kilbride 7-3. Women's game, France, Sweden. Final stone for Brigitte Lamy. Skipping this rink of Annick Mercier of Megève. Hits there for 1 in 8 and now trails 7-4.
We're at the Winnipeg Arena for TSN's continuing coverage of these 91 Canada Safeway World Curling Championships, and it is 4-4 as we go to the 8th end. And Lyndon Ray talked so much about how to create your chances, what you have to do to score points, and it was as if Dominique Dupont-Roc was listening to you, because he played the right shots, and then with his last stone, he drew the tee line and a piece of the 4.
Well, yeah, he gave himself a chance. Now, Kevin Martin missed a shot, but it was a difficult shot. He had to be, had to play it very finely, and he missed it, and it gave Dominique Dupont a chance to draw to that 4-foot. He made no mistake. He ended up playing the exact same shot and the right shot, in our opinion, Dick, and 2 points, and now it's a game, 4-4.
Well, he wasn't sure. His brushers were on it, and then he goes, oh, yeah, boys, hey, come on now, watch this.
Never in doubt, they said. T-line weight. Now there's some rocks in play this end as well, and France is playing again the good shots, trying to come to the center line area. They got the front guard, and now they're trying to come around it.
Board.
Let's see now. That might be an idea right after this draw to head up to the concession stand for a hot dog. We had a couple the other day.
I've no need a few of those in my day.
Not a lot of time between the two draws, the 3 and 7 p.m. draws.
Not much at all. Dan Petrick.
Wow. On the way. Be ready. Whoa. Hurt.
Well, the other way.
Other way. Whoa. Whoa.
Well, that's a nice shot.
Fabulous shot.
Rolls it over behind cover, full in the 12.
Draw around it. Go around the center one there, or you can go around the other one. Try and angle freeze onto it.
I don't mind the hit on the front one, but if I was going to try and hit the front one, I'd actually try for the longer roll in. Not worry about the double takeout, not worry about the Canadian stone in the house.
Then open up the back when
you're
suggesting. Yeah, you could stay on the. You'd like to get that rock open, but you could stay on the offense by going around it as well. He's trying to run through.
Second stone for the French second, Patrick Philippe.
That's
one of the problems, eh?
All right. This is your question, Ray. How many nations can claim to have won at least one men's and one women's world championship?
I think it's 4.
The answer is 4.
Canada, Norway, Sweden, Switzerland.
Can we check that again, please?
I think I had that after figuring out, too. There was a couple of countries in both sides that didn't win the 2 titles. For example, the U.S. has won a men's title and not a ladies' title, so you had to sort of think through those to find the right combination.
Scotland's won a men's and not a ladies either.
Right. And Denmark has won a ladies,
right on.
Not a men's.
Not a men's.
And I guess Germany was the ladies and not the men's.
That's right.
Keith Wendorf was finalist, and so was Roger Schmidt, but they didn't win the title in the men's side.
Well, the back one's open, and it's a chance. Now, this is where you need to play that nice control weight, Linda. You can't be playing these rocks with, big hitting weight. Play it nice control weight, work it, let it come, get the rolling behind that center stone. Sure not taking much ice, so I must be playing a little more weight than we're discussing.
Whoa!
That caught something.
Whoa! Wait!
They're playing the other rock now.
Whoa! Who did that?
Maybe he wanted to catch something every time.
Shore Lake just having a little trouble seeing that one.
Little curl there.
And we appreciate the sign from the people there.
Well, normally when you see a rock catch something when there's brushes out there, the rock just goes sideways and doesn't make anything. But that one turned out not too badly. Maybe it was just a little piece of corn that it picked up.
Yeah, because Kevin Martin does use the corn broom. Kevin Park, the Canadian third, playing the 8th end, tied 4-4 with France.
Playing the come around. We'll see if they can get the late movement on this rock. It was very straight at first.
Here comes. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Look at it finished. The minute he starts flapping that broom, it just walks sideways.
They had to wait for it because it wasn't going to curl till it got to the house area. Look at how far away from center line it is. Now it's going to hit the hog line, start to make its move.
Kevin Park has made some great shots, hasn't he? Look at this here. Walked right over there. Oh, look at that go.
I don't think Dominique knows quite what to do here.
No, I don't blame him. I wouldn't know what to do either.
It was hard to follow that one because it curled so much.
Trying to pick it out. Looks like it.
Claude Fege.
Nice weight, but I don't think it's going to curl enough.
They got it out right away because they said whoa right away, so.
And it did. It just
moved. It moved okay. It's just that he just got it outside to start with.
So the hog line seems to be the place where the movement starts.
And it's as the rock is dying, and in this case picking up a little bit of corn sometimes, that it curls. No, it was unfortunate because he was a little bit inside. He might have cleared open the front a bit on that red stone, but he missed everything.
It's in front of the tee line.
Just don't want to set up the double. That's what they're talking about.
Oh, what do you think? The same weight or a little more over here? Same. All right. Easy. A lot of room. Lots. A lot of weight. Lots of weight. Lots of room. Lots of weight. Ton of room. Well, hold on. What are you doing? Well, I think if you can. Okay.
I think he's a bit heavy.
Hit her. Lay back.
Oh, look at that go. That's amazing.
I would try and freeze onto the front one, Linda.
He's not going to have a lot of choices. He's only got 2 left, and he's down to a situation where he's trying to cut them down.
C'est vachement difficile, mais on n'a pas d'autre solution. Tu vois? Non. Ça fait presque normal. Un peu plus de glace, Claude. T'as joué là, toi, hein? Un peu plus de glace.
Is he thinking of the thin double, Linda? Is that what he's thinking? I guess so.
I don't know.
He must be.
Boy, if you get one in there anywhere in the top 8 with half covered, Kevin Martin's really going to have a tough time with it, and then you can maybe tap it up with your next one. Your France.
If you freeze it right on the face, you take the end away from him and make Kevin make a very difficult draw for 2. And as you say, if you get a chance to move it up, I think he's playing the tick double. This is a little...
When you fought back in the game and now tied it, you don't want to let it slip away by trying something this difficult. If he makes it, obviously it's a great shot, but it's a tough one.
The first stone for the French skipper, Dominique Dupont-Roc.
Just a tick.
There's the one now, over on top of the other one. Yes.
Unbelievable. He is curling so well, and he's putting the pressure on himself by trying these tough shots, but you can't take it away from him. He called it and made it.
That was a great shot. I mean, you're right. It was. He had to be absolutely perfect.
And the coach is pretty happy about that one. It was well called, too. They didn't sweep it until it started to make its move.
Just got by it.
Look at that perfect roll. Frozen for shot rock.
And I guess he hit it
Yes.
full enough just to get the roll. I think if he hits it a little thinner, he gets the double, so who are we to say? That was a shot.
There.
Well, he's curling 88%. He's out curling Kevin Martin to this point.
Lot of room. Ton of room.
Dominique Dupont-Roc putting on quite a show.
Whoa, don't touch it. Whoa, don't touch it. Right there. Well, don't touch it. Not even close to the yellow one yet. Buddy! All right.
They're doing a little bit of house cleaning here.
Sorry. No, I'm sorry, Linda. You could almost, about an end ago, feel the momentum start to change a little bit. It's not any different from any other sport, you know. You see it in hockey games, you see it in football games, and the French team started to come on a little bit. He seemed to, as you mentioned, he's curling personally very well, and he started to call the right shots. And all of a sudden, the momentum in the game has just kind of turned a bit. Kevin's just got to get it back now.
Moi, je l'autre job, qu'est-ce que t'en penses?
I knew you guys would do that sooner or later. No, I just knew it was a matter of time. Look, there's a hot dog stand out there. You can still have a hot dog outside. They're lined up. Oh, no, those are the bus drivers.
Yeah, I think we'll have our hot dog inside. Dominique Dupont-Roc and his final stone.
Hitting a roll.
L.A. Rock, you kill everything, Kevin says. Hit it on the nose, you'll be shot rock. Take your single.
Whatever your preference is. Oh, we know that.
Yeah.
Let's go again.
I was watching the front end, and they were standing about halfway down the sheet, holding up a finger, pointing out that they thought they should take the one point, not go for the harder shot. I agree with them.
Me too.
Well, Canada with last stone scored 2, and then they've traded points. The only blank came in the 6th, but it was those 2 great shots by the French skip in end number 7 to bring him back to a 4-4 tie.
All right,
Final stone. And Canada will pick up 1. He's played well. Canadians just don't seem to have had the bite. Oh, it's biting outside. 5-4. Canada leading.
At the end of March, one of the most prestigious winter sports events in the world will be taking place in Western Canada. The Canada Safeway World Curling Championships at the Winnipeg Arena. The event brings together the top men's and women's competitors in the game and is indeed a proud moment for us all.
On behalf of our 22,000 employees in Western Canada, Canada Safeway is pleased to have been able to bring this fine event to the Canadian prairies.
Okay, work with me now, people, okay? See this name, Goodyear? What do you think of when you see this name? Tires. See, that's what I mean. For years, we've been doing tune-ups. Thank you, Gord, son of the owner. Tune-ups, under the hood work, but still, when we say Goodyear, you say... Tires. Come on, work with me on this.
From tune-ups to tires, Goodyear takes you home.
Goodyear does tune-ups. This is not a big reach. Pretty clear.
Honey, I know we're on a low cholesterol kick, but if I eat much more salad, I'll turn into a rabbit.
Well, how about a McCain pizza? It's okay. It's a McCain Tender Crisp. And it's low cholesterol.
Low cholesterol pizza.
It says so right on the box.
Low cholesterol pizza. Great idea.
Great pizza, too.
McCain Tender Crisp in individual and family sizes. Low cholesterol, too.
Because man cannot live by salad alone.
Welcome back to the Winnipeg Arena and the 1991 Canada Safeway World Curling Championships. It's the 10th round. 2 games left. And we want to go to one of those. That's the women's game between Scotland and Norway as they play the 9th, with Norway leading 7-4. And this will be the final stone of the 9th end for Norway and the defending women's world champion Dorothy Nordby of Oslo. Both these rinks entering the 10th round with records of 3 wins and 1 loss. The big end for Norway was the 7th when they scored 4 to really take control and now lead by 3.
Scotland sitting 2. They were sitting the 1 rock in the back of the 8-foot, and Christine Allison was trying to put a guard on it, and she came much too deep. That allows Dorothy Nordby a hit-on shot rock for her point. In all fairness to Scotland, I glanced over when Norway got there for the shot before the final rock of the end. That was Scotland's last rock, caught something she was trying to draw into, freeze to a back rock. It didn't even make the rings, and Dorothy Nordby had the draw for 4. So things haven't gone well today for Scotland.
Well, she won't push it far enough, and it'll be a steal of 1 for Scotland at the back of the 12, and so it's now a 7-5 game. Norway leading, and the rink from Oslo will have last rock playing 10. As we return to our featured game here in the 10th round, France and Canada. Canadians picking up 1 in 8 to lead 5-4, and now Dominique Dupont-Roc will have last rock in end number 9.
And he's doing exactly what he should do, Vic. He's been throwing up the corner guards, and as we've seen so often and done so well, Kevin Martin is peeling them off. What Dominique needs is a nose hit, miss, so we can get around and try and set up scoring a deuce in this 9th end and taking control of the game. Great shot. Dan. They do that pretty well, don't they?
Out in front again, says the skip to his second, Patrick Philippe, and his second stone.
And in fairness to Dominique, in the first couple ends, he was trying to play a few front rocks, only his team members were slipping into the ring. So that was setting the trend for that particular end. But now the front end has been making these shots.
Allez! Allez! Là, vous dormez ou quoi?
No, not quite, I don't think.
This gives Kevin a chance to bring the plate to the rings now.
They were looking at that stone to see if it maybe picked up something, and there is a little bit of corn out there that might slow the rocks a bit, but I don't think that much. It just, for some reason, slowed down.
Martin's just going to throw it through. So he's going to try and run this point home.
The French third, Claude Fege.
Well, I like some of these calls he's making now. He's been moving the guard around. He hasn't had any success. Canadians have been running them all off, so he's decided to bring this one into the rings deep and hope for the nose hit, and then try the freeze technique of getting his points.
Allez, allez, fort! Allez les gars, putain.
It's not going to be as far in as
You
you
better
want
to leave
it.
it short now.
Yeah.
Putain, c'est dingue. J'ai dit Dolly.
It's not a bad shot. Nothing wrong with that shot. It wasn't going to get behind the tee line, then you want to leave it short of the rings.
Yep. Clean.
Those are fast takeouts.
Yeah, they have it.
Unbelievable. Great spin on the rock.
Last time we checked, it was 95%. Hard to think where the mistake was.
Dans la maison, hein. Balaye. Nettoyez. Nettoyez. Putain, vous êtes feignants, hein. Quoi? Parfait.
So skip stones to come in this ninth end with Canada leading 5-4, and the first from the Canadian skip, Kevin Martin. Well, you said, Ray, that the people in Winnipeg were going to be out in force to support this World Curling Championship, and they have been.
They'd be here all night if that's no case. You better send one of the guys down to buy some hot dogs before they're all gone.
Okay. Oh, this is great because this is exactly what the French team was playing. They've sort of done the textbook last few ends, haven't they, Ray?
Sure have.
Trying to generate points, and now they'll try the freeze to this rock.
Started just a tad. Is it?
You got to make this. You got to make sure you get down on top of this. You can't be coming up. He's going to hit it, I guess. He changed his mind.
I don't really understand this.
What he's decided then, Linda, is to try and get through this end and blanket, obviously, and try again the next end. I guess that's all I can think of. Is to behind the tee line, I'd put it right on top of it. He actually knows that path perfectly. We played down there.
Now, if you'd seen this team at the Briar and the way they can protect and peel rocks, I think you take any chance you have, whether it's the 9th or 10th end.
Well, even if you sit it down on top, anywhere in front of it, as long as you're shot, Kevin has to play it. The shooter's going to go. You might even get the jam, and then you can blank the end and start over next end and go play the 10th point down.
Après, on attaque encore nos regardes. C'est nous. Ah, si on fait 0. Des fois, dans la maison, ça leur fait faire des carreaux.
Easy, easy. Yeah, come on. Hurry. Okay, that's good.
So the French skip Dominique Dupont-Roc will look to blank this end, take the hammer to end number 10, and trail by 1.
Where it's so straight.
Just a corner, and that's what he gets. Dominique Dupont-Roc and France.
He's played well, Linda, very well.
will trail by 1, and they do have last rock. When we come back for the 10th end, our featured game in the 10th round. Championship, Scotland is a winner, 7-1 over Finland. Norway has won as well. Igoramsel 8-3 over Denmark, and in our game we go to the 10th, Canada leading 5-4 over France. Women's play, Sweden has beaten France 9-4. Norway, Dordy Nordby, leading 7-5 over Scotland as they play 10. The Winnipeg Arena, nearly 100,000 people have attended these World Curling Championships so far. We hope you're enjoying the coverage. We'll be back with you at 8 p.m. Eastern Time with a women's game as Julie Sutton and her rink play Switzerland and Janet Hurleman, formerly of Toronto and Sarnia, Ontario. The Canadian second, this is Dan Petrick.
He was inside on that one.
Well, there's what Dominique needed, a rock to go around.
Norway has run Scotland out of rocks in their women's game, so Norway wins it by a final of 7-5. So Dordy Nordby and the defending women's world champions are now 4-1. Scotland, Christine Ellison of East Kilbride, 3-2.
The outturn come around, something. Now, even if you're short on this Stoneland, it's a good shot. The thing you can't be, obviously, is through the rings. Even short's fine.
Looks like it's got lots to me. They're waiting for it to curl up as well. Hanging out there a long time. Well, perfect weight. It just didn't make its move.
I'll see what happens.
And they exchange stones, biting the top of the 8th.
I just ignore that and play the in-turn draw around the center line guard.
I definitely draw. You could play the out-turn and maybe rub off that one if they run straight, but certainly wouldn't play to move it at all.
Just the draw is right. That's the shot.
La pierre, elle peut t'aider, hein? Si t'es haut, tu fais ça.
C'est mieux, ça. Just a draw, a little tick, he says, is fine.
That's the international language of curling.
Yes, of course.
Whoa! 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 C'est quoi la vitesse? Whoa! Whoa! Ouais! Whoa! Ouais! Whoa! Whoa!
Sweeping it for line.
Whoa!
That's a shot. Mr. Freeze, Kevin's going to play here.
Probably picked up. Right on the can here.
This will be the first stone for the Canadian third, Kevin Park. 5-4, Canada leading. And France does have last rock.
Line's nice. Room. I think the weight's there. A lot of room. Looks like a lot of weight.
They just want to play the draw. They don't need to tap this rock. If they sit on it, they'll be on the button.
Weight's there. Don't touch it. Weight's still there.
Curls so late.
Right up. Right over.
Shot stone, still France fighting the back of the button.
think the French team are going to have a little bit of a talk. Called down to the ice to each other.
It's nice to see. They are heroes, the curlers here, to many of the youngsters. As they leave the ice surface, you see them quite often signing autographs. Scottish and Norwegian women's rinks leaving Winnipeg Arena after Norway's 7-5 win. This is the French third, Claude Fege.
What they're trying to do is corner freeze the Canadian stone, the rock that was just thrown by Kevin Park. That'll protect the back stone belonging to France and also set up a possible raise with the next one. They don't want it too deep. That's a great shot.
Is that draw still there for Canada?
Well, that's a tough one now.
Draw,
it's protecting, that rock is protecting the outside of the shot stone plus another 6 inches. And it's very straight there.
In turn. What, peel or? Yeah, I'd like to go with peel weight.
Well, and at Norberg is now back with her baby after the 9-4 win over France, and a chance to tell her all about it.
Come off ours and kill his. Peel weight.
Kevin Park is going to try and hit about half or even less, maybe a third of the Canadian stone on the right-hand side of the 8-foot. Wick over and take out the French shot stone.
Oh, boy.
Way out. He's thrown a lot of weight.
Like a rocket.
Girl.
Boy, really threw that.
You're a little outside with that much weight, it's just never going to curl.
Keep an eye on this because it goes pretty fast. Lots of handle.
Girl.
It was actually better that he miss it entirely, I suppose, because now it leaves that shot for later unless France goes after it. Huh? And France looks like they're going to hit it first.
Play the hit and roll here, Linda. It's a good call as well. He gets the roll in behind those 2 guards, those 3 guards, at the top of the 4-foot. He really puts himself in a great position to win this.
Nettoyez. Attention. Whoa. Whoa.
A little better weight this time, Linda. Much more controlled. Just didn't get the roll.
Well, is that shot still there, though, but coming off the...
Very thin now, though,
yeah.
Dick. It's not the same type of shot it was a moment ago.
You hit the roll, he's got a pretty easy range. Still got all this side to draw to, too, for a second point.
Try to double one more time. Don't make it this time, though. I heard him say, if we don't make it this time...
You kill that, at least. Where's he going to put his next one? Pretty tough to get it in there without setting something.
Don't play the double. What the guys think? Don't play the thin double.
No. What's the other option? You play a heavy draw. Tough shot.
I don't know if I like the thin double, Ray. It's so dangerous. If they ever caught it a bit differently and maybe push theirs out of that place behind the center line guard and rearrange the rocks a bit, it's even easier for France.
Kill this thing.
Kind of stuff. Either roll into here. We sit right here. That's a good shot.
I don't mind that shot either.
We have to move this. This is his only way of getting.
move this thing in about here, then we got an easy double.
Also go dangerous to go over here.
No, I don't like that.
Dangerous. Let's go, Donnie. What kind of weight? Just back line here?
Nothing more.
Well, they decide thin double.
Now they're talking about just coming off that French stone on the right-hand side, just biting the 8-foot.
And just rolling over?
Rolling in.
Just the hit and roll is what they're playing. That's what they talked about. He talked about the thin double for a minute, but you're right, Linda. It's just that's a real long shot. Talking about getting the hit and roll and being able to move it up and play the double with his next one if he can.
Still lots of time for Canada.
The point here is that Kevin says if he hits and rolls over, then where does he put his next shot?
Clean. Room. Wait, good. Yep. Whoa. Off. Right off. Right off. Off. Get in this can. Roll it. Whoa. Shot.
They want to leave it open so he can play the raise on it the next time.
Well, I like that shot.
You have your Francie try to take that raise away.
Well, the problem is if you go after protecting the one side of the house, Canada will guard the other side of the house, and then you won't have a shot for 2 with your last one.
So you maybe have to go in here, do you?
Well, that's what Kevin Park was saying. If we just hit this one and sit there, where does he put his next one? And he's got a tough decision to make here. You're going to have to take some time to think this one over.
And he hasn't got that much time now. He's under 4 minutes.
On garde et après on joue de lui par l'autre côté.
He's got 2 stones to play. You think it's plenty of time, but you're right. Tough choices here for Dominique Dupont-Roc.
Parce que là, je vais tout ouvrir.
I think you have to come with the wide in-turn, Vic, and try and... he's going to guard it.
I don't know. It's going to really make his last shot tough.
Even if you came in to the second shot, Linda, at the back of the 8-foot, wide open. Leave Kevin that angle raise.
Moi, je pousserai presque le nez, j'essaierai presque de pousser la main. Jouer sur la main. Parce que... Ok. Ouais, mais si je la prends trop fine, ça envoie la rouge. Tu vois comment tu te mets sur la rouge?
If he blocks this and Kevin blocks the next one.
Ah non. Fais jouer ça et dolly dans le bleu après. Ouais. Faut que tu la... Faut que tu la mettes là où est ton balai. Même légèrement en haut, ça va faire rare.
He can't protect against everything. And he's got his tie game, and so he'll worry about his next shot later. He's going to put the guard up.
Your thought is if he goes to the back of the 8-foot, he might draw the shot from Martin, the angle raise, and then maybe then leave himself his last shot was 2.
If you go there, though, you leave Kevin raise the tap back or the raise it back, but...
Whoa.
Well, he might be at the back of the 8. Oh. Is he going to raise the Canadian stone up? Is he going to raise it up for shot? No.
You know, it actually worked out not too bad for him, Linda.
Did he take that raise away now?
No, it's not there any longer. But I don't know how he's going to get his second point. He's going to have to drop it from the ceiling. Let's see what Kevin's talking about. Hitting the yellow one, then coming across, hitting the red onto the yellow.
Yeah, the only thing is... he's sitting right here, and he's... getting rolling.
We can't leave him this.
That's pretty easy right there. Well, I don't know. He made that draw down there. 7.
Fight the 4.
2.
If you draw this side, you cut off the house, and if you bite the 4, he doesn't have that.
Oh, that's very easy.
But if we have one biting, if we have one in the 4-foot there, he can't do anything with it anyway.
Why don't we
we try to hit this one and move ours in a little bit. Thick, yeah, right there. You can even come into the crotch of this.
That blocks that side. Yeah, we can also bump this one over, right?
That's right. Come off the crotch and bump this one up. That would be the best shot. That'd be the best shot if you could move.
It'd be a great shot if you could rearrange all those rocks.
Block both draws.
What are we doing?
I threw peel weight and we had a little more ice than that. It didn't move at all.
He's going to try and hit this, come across, and move his own up a little closer to the button.
Canada leads by 1. France with last rock. This is the final stone for the Canadian skip, Kevin Martin.
Hard! Quick! Hurry! Come on! Quick! Hurry! Come on, quick, quick, quick! Hurry!
There it is, little inside roll. Enough to bump? No.
So a draw to the edge of the 4-foot. He has to catch about half the 4-foot for a win.
Shot for the win.
And what a dramatic turnaround this is for Dominique Dupont-Roc.
1 minute, 36 seconds.
Yep.
They were talking about the great draw he made in the 7th end for his second point, where he hit the tee line, the edge of the 4-foot. It's about what he has to do here.
It's not taking much time. He really...
And he lets it go with 1:05 on the clock. Needs the 4-foot. 3/4 of a rock for the win. Right now, he's got the tie. He's going to be there. No, he is. He's going to crack out in front. He's not going to get there.
Yeah.
He's not going to get there. He'll pick up his 1.
And Mike Mueller would have loved that one to be made.
We'll go to an extra end, tied 5-5, Canada and France. Kevin Martin and his rink from Alberta will have that all-important final stone.
Reach out, touch a little.
Round, they're both final. Sweden wins over France and Norway. Doherty Nordby 7-5 over Scotland. So the standings after 10 rounds: Canada, Julie Sutton 5-0, Norway, Sweden 4-1, Scotland, Switzerland 3-2, Germany, Denmark, France, the United States, and Austria. I don't know, maybe I was suggesting to Linda Ray that maybe he was hurried a little bit, saw the clock, but Linda suggests he just didn't throw it well.
Well, you know, I just had a chance to talk to Kevin Martin as he came back to get a glass of water, and he said, you know, nobody had played that side of the sheet for the last hour, and he's absolutely right. So I think he maybe played the right shot by taking away that hit and roll, which would have been the easier of the two, and forced the Dominique to play a wide in-turn draw, and nobody had played down there, and that's very true.
Getting behind his stone. Boy, oh boy.
I can't remember him missing one of those. He's played very well. My turn's finished.
Caught mine out of there.
Big side.
Now the pressure is on the rest of the rink. 5-5 playing this extra end. Patrick Philippe.
Nettoyez seulement. Nettoyez seulement. Bien joué. C'est là qu'il va rentrer.
Second stone for the French second here in this extra end. Canada with last rock.
Both teams have played very well after 10 ends. Team Canada was at 81% and French team at 75%.
And the thing you don't need is to hog the stone.
It's a little warmer down here, and the ice is just, you can see a little frost build up on the outside, and pebbles flattened out a bit.
Well, there certainly have been no complaints about the rocks here. The rocks are Manitoba Curling Association rocks, and I think all the curlers are quite happy with them and not feeling that they are causing any problems with weight. This is the time of the week where the coaches start looking at which rocks have won on which sheets, just to check and make sure there's not a set that seems to be consistently losing. And as far as I know, that isn't happening.
Allez, allez, fort! Allez! Allez! Allez!
Bien joué.
Interesting that there was the two hogs in this game, so maybe tomorrow I'll check the stats for this sheet and see how the yellow rocks are doing.
1-8.
He's played well. The 26-year-old Canadian third, Kevin Park.
Yep. Hard. That's good.
He's been in this situation before, and he does this very well, doesn't he? Run them off.
It was just the one nose hit by Dan Petrick last end that got things going. But so far, Canadians have peeled just perfectly.
Wow, nettoyez seulement, hein?
Claude Fish.
Ouais. Allez! Non.
Good stone.
To come here in this extra end, tied 5-5 Canada with last rock, and looking to win their fifth.
Well, all Dominique can do with his first stone is put another one up in front and hope that Kevin Martin hits it on the nose and gives him something to hide behind Vic. Exactly what he's playing. Here's your story. France with a chance in the 10th end to draw to the 4-foot for 2 for a victory.
Wow. Nettoyez simplement, hein? Wow! Ah ouais. Wow. Nettoie. On nettoie un petit peu quand même, non? Non, bon.
And the skip puts up his center line guard.
Clean. Wall. Up.
This is one of those decisions where you either put it in the side and hope that they'll draw, or hit and roll out. You have to decide if you want to force the other team to hit or to draw.
I think in this case, Linda, I would try and put it away from the center, because all the play has been in the center. And I think that there's been a little bit of a frost buildup. I would try and stick it on the edge of the 8-foot someplace.
Would you play to the board side too?
Well, either one of the two sides. It just doesn't matter. Just where you think that the ice might have changed a little bit, or we haven't played for a while.
The final stone then for France. Dominique Dupont-Roc here in this extra end.
Now he pointed to the front of the 8-foot. I think if I was going to draw in, I'd put it a little deep and hope that they either rolled out or tried to draw to it and missed the draw. I wouldn't leave it high. There's too much room to roll. I guess the other thing he was thinking, if he only got it half in.
Yeah, you can't nose hit it. That's right.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
And I don't even know, well, you know what? This is close enough that he might hit it, and if the action of the stone, he might still be outside the range. You think so?
Yeah, it looks like he might be in to me, but I guess it'd be really close. But those are so hard for your team to sweep, just to get it half in the house.
Well, the crowd here at Winnipeg Arena coming alive and urging Kevin Martin.
If he hits it right in the nose, he'll be in the rings, no problem.
Final stone. Looking to win his 5th in a row.
Clean. Hit.
There it is, the inside roll, and Kevin Martin will win it 6-5, and now has won 5 straight and remains undefeated here at the 1991 Canada Safeway World Curling Championships. It was a struggle, but Martin still has reason to smile. 10th end.
Well, the turning point isn't hard to pick out of this game, that's for sure. It's the draw on the 10th end with Dominique Dupont-Roc has a chance to draw to the 4-foot to win this game. So for Kevin Martin, that's definitely the turning point.
Had a chance to win it. Canada would come back with 1 in the extra end. A cash donation has been made to the Coaching Association of Canada on behalf of TSN and National Trust for the development of amateur coaches in Canada. National Trust helping you secure your future. We'll have more from Winnipeg in just a minute. Here are all the men's scores. Scotland win easily over Finland. Heigl Ramsfeld rebounds to beat Denmark, and Canada in the extra end 6-5 over France. The standings heading into 11 rounds of play. Canada still undefeated at 5-0. Scotland, Norway at 4-1. Switzerland and Germany at 3-2. Under 500, Sweden. The United States has rebounded with 2 straight wins. France and Denmark, and then Finland still looking for their first win. A reminder that we will be back with you at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for 11th round coverage from here in Winnipeg.
It'll be a women's game featuring Julie Sutton and her rink, currently undefeated with 5 straight wins, as they go against Switzerland. 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Switzerland and Canada, 11th round action from the World Curling Championships. So till we talk with you then, on behalf of Linda Moore, Ray Turnbull, and our entire crew, I'm Vic Roeder.